At the seventh gate of the underworld, the Queen of Heaven stood naked and powerless. Before her sat the seven judges of death, and with a single look, they killed her. But her story didn't end there. To understand how she came back, we must first understand what drove her there. And to understand her, you must first understand the riddle that drove her to the gates of the underworld. Why would a deity who commands the stars, who ignites both love and war, willingly descend into the one kingdom where her power means nothing? The answer is not about faith. It is about an ambition so vast it sought to devour death itself. Imagine for a moment that you are this goddess. You are the morning and the evening star, the fertility of the fields, the passion in a lover's embrace, the fury of the battlefield. All of it flows from you. Kings rise and fall by your whim. Empires are built to sing your praise. The world of the living is your throne, your temple, your garden. But there is another world, a silent, dust-choked kingdom beneath the soil, the land of no return. And it is ruled by your sister, Ereshkigal. She is your shadow. Where you are light, she is darkness. Where you are life, she is the final, inevitable silence. And in your heart, a divine and terrible hubris takes root. You decide her kingdom should also be yours. You adorn yourself for conquest, not with armor, but with the seven divine powers that make you who you are. The crown of the heavens on your head, lapis lazuli beads around your neck, a breastplate called Come Man Come, the golden ring on your hand, and the mighty scepter in it. You dress not just as a queen, but as divinity made manifest. But before you leave, you do something strange, something that betrays your true fear. You go to your vizier, your most trusted servant Ninshubur, and you give her a warning. You tell her, if I do not return in 3 days, you must raise a lament for me. Go to the great gods, go to Enlil, to Nanna, and finally to Enki. Plead with them. Do not let your queen be forgotten in the darkness. She knew this wasn't an invasion, it was a gamble with annihilation itself. And so, the Queen of Heaven arrives at the first gate of the underworld. The gatekeeper, Neti, is unmoved by her splendor. He consults with his queen, Ereshkigal, who, upon hearing of her sister's arrival, is filled not with familial warmth, but with a cold, ancient fury. Her orders are simple, and they are absolute. Follow the ancient rites. At each of the 7 gates, she is to be stripped of one of her glories. At the first gate, they take your crown, the symbol of your celestial authority gone. You are no longer the Queen of Heaven. At the second, they take your lapis lazuli beads. At the third, your breastplate. With each step deeper into the earth, a piece of your power is unmade. The descent into hell is a descent into your own helplessness. By the time you reach the 7th and final gate, you are naked, powerless, a goddess reduced to mere flesh. You stand before the throne of your sister Ereshkigal, and beside her sit the 7 dread judges of the underworld, the Anunnaki. They do not speak, they do not deliberate. They fix upon you their eyes of death, and with a single look, you are judged. In that kingdom, to be alive is the only crime. The word of sickness is spoken against you. The goddess Inanna, queen of heaven and earth, is struck dead. Her corpse is hung from a hook on the wall, a piece of rotting meat, and the story should have ended there. The great silence of the underworld is meant to be eternal. But with Inanna gone, the world of the living began to break. The bull no longer mounted the cow. The man no longer sought the woman. Fertility, passion, life itself, it all began to curdle and fade. The world above was now a reflection of the world below, barren and silent. Her absence proved her power more than her presence ever could. 3 days passed. Ninshubur, her faithful servant, did as she was commanded. She filled the heavens with her cries. She went to the great god Enlil, but he refused her. She coveted a kingdom that was not hers. He declared she must bear the consequences. She went to the moon god Nanna, and he too refused. Only one remained, Enki, the god of wisdom, water and magic, the keeper of secrets. He listened, and unlike the others, he felt a father's sorrow. From the dirt beneath his fingernails, he fashioned two strange, sexless creatures. They were neither male nor female, beings that could slip through the cracks of the underworld's laws. Into the hands of one, he placed the food of life. Into the hands of the other, the water of life. And he gave them a strange instruction. He did not tell them to fight. He did not tell them to steal. He told them, when you arrive, you will find Ereshkigal in agony. She will be crying out as if in the pains of childbirth, mourning her dead children, mourning her own grim fate. You must echo her sorrow. When she cries, "Oh, my heart," you must cry, "Oh, your heart." When she cries, "Oh, my liver," you must cry, "Oh, your liver." You must offer her empathy. It was a plan born of divine wisdom, for in the kingdom of absolute misery, the one thing no one had ever offered its queen was sympathy. The two creatures did as they were told. They found Ereshkigal wailing in the dark, and they grieved with her. Shocked by this unexpected kindness, she stopped her lament. For the first time, someone shared her burden. She turned to them and said, "You have soothed my soul. Name your gift. It shall be yours." They did not ask for gold or for power. They asked for the corpse hanging on the hook. A queen of the underworld cannot break an oath. With fury and regret she agreed. The creatures sprinkled the food and water of life upon the body of Inanna, and the queen of heaven took a breath. She lived. But the laws of the underworld are older than any god. No one, not even a resurrected deity, can simply leave the land of no return. The 7 judges pronounced the final, inescapable price. To leave the abyss, you must provide a substitute. Someone must take your place. So Inanna ascended, but she was not alone. Clinging to her, whispering in her ear, were the Gala, the soulless bailiffs of hell, the demons who collect the debts of the dead. They were her escort and her jailers, and they would not leave her side until they had their payment. A life for a life. She rose back into the world of light, the demons trailing behind her like a shadow she could not shake. The first person she saw was her loyal vizier, Ninshubur, dressed in sackcloth, his face smeared with dust, prostrate in grief. The demons lunged forward. "Perhaps this one," they hissed. But Inanna held up her hand. "No, she was my faithful servant. She wept for me. Touch her, and you answer to me." Next, she came to the city of her sons. She found them too in mourning, their clothes torn. Again the demons surged. "What about them?" And again she shielded them. "They are my blood. They mourned their mother. Find someone else." Finally she arrived at her own palace, and there, on her throne, she saw him, her husband, the shepherd king, Tammuz. But he was not in mourning. He was dressed in magnificent robes. He was seated on her high throne, enjoying music, his face untroubled. He had not wept. He had not grieved. While the very world withered from her absence, he had seen not a loss, but an opportunity, an empty throne to be filled. In that instant, the goddess of love was consumed by a very human rage. The grand cosmic plan, the ordeal, the death and rebirth, all of it was cheapened by this one simple, selfish act. Her sacrifice was met not with sorrow, but with avarice. The demons saw the look in her eyes. They knew, and Inanna looked upon her husband, the man who was meant to love her above all others. And she spoke a final judgment. It was not the pronouncement of a queen, but the cold whisper of the betrayed. She pointed a finger. "Take him." The Gala fell upon Tammuz, a tide of darkness dragging a king from his throne. He was the price. He was the substitute. She had broken out of hell, yes, but only by bringing a piece of it with her and feeding it the man she once loved. This ancient story is more than a cautionary tale about ambition. It's a foundational myth, an attempt to explain the very fabric of reality. The sorrow of the gods became the cycle of the seasons, for Tammuz does not remain in the underworld forever. His own devoted sister volunteers to take his place for half the year, and so he returns to the world, bringing with him the green and blooming life of spring, only to descend again into the darkness of winter. But the deeper echo of this myth is a warning about what happens when we try to conquer the unconquerable. When we stare into the void, convinced we can master it, we risk being fundamentally changed by what we see. Inanna wanted to rule the underworld. Instead, she was forced to learn its most brutal law, that life is a debt and death always collects. She escaped the land of no return, but she became its agent, and the world was never the same. A new sorrow was introduced, the sorrow of the substitute, the pain of a debt paid by another. She broke out of hell, but in doing so, she bound our world to its laws forever.